Hello friends, myself Praveen Gore, lecturer Science Department. So in previous lecture I started with unit 1, that is mechanics, and I covered what are physical units, fundamental physical units, derived physical units. Then I went to different system of units and I covered SI unit, SI system of units. So in this lecture I'll be covering what are scalars and vectors. Okay, what are scalar quantities or vector quantities. Then I'll see what is the resultant of two vectors. Then I'll go for different laws, though namely we have the law of parallelogram of forces, the law of triangle of forces, then converse of law of triangle, and then we have Lami's theorem. So I'll start with scalars. So what are scalars? A quantity which has only magnitude is called a scalar quantity. A quantity which has only magnitude but it has no direction is called as a scalar quantity. So what are the examples? Length, mass, time, density, etc. are scalar quantities. So what does this mean? If you are calculating length of an object, then you don't need to worry about what is the direction. Directly you can say this length is 2 meters. You can directly say the length is 2 meters. You need not worry about direction, whether it is in this direction or the opposite direction. No, if you are talking about mass of an object, you can say the mass is 1 kg. It doesn't matter whether the mass is in some particular direction, whether it is upward or downward. No, you need not worry about what is the direction of the mass. Same way, if you are calculating time, you can say time is 60 seconds. You need not worry about the direction of the time. So a quantity which has only magnitude but no direction is called a scalar quantity. Then we have vectors or vector quantities. A quantity which has both magnitude and direction is called a vector quantity. A quantity which has both magnitude and direction. So for example, velocity or force. If you want to calculate what is velocity of a particle in moving in this direction, then suppose this distance is 5 meters which is covered in 5 seconds, then your velocity will be 5 meter divided by 5 seconds is 1 meter per second in this direction. If you are calculating velocity in opposite direction, then how much is the distance? Minus 5 meter divided by how much time taken? 5 seconds. So velocity in the opposite direction becomes minus 1 meter per second. So this is how velocity depends on direction. If you are talking about force, suppose I have an object here. I apply a force in this direction, force F1, and this force moves the object in this direction. So what happens? The direction of this force is downwards. I apply another force F2 which moves the body in upward direction. So what happens? The direction of the force is upward. So can I say both the forces F1 and F2 are same? No, I cannot say. Even though their magnitudes are same, the forces are not same because their directions are different. So forces have particular direction. Therefore I say forces as vector quantities. Now I'll see what is resultant of two vectors. So first I'll tell you the concept behind resultant, and then I'll explain the definition. Suppose we are playing football. We have goalpost here. Okay, player 1 is standing here with the ball. He kicks the ball towards player 2. Player 2 kicks the ball to player 3, and player 3 puts it in the goalpost. So what is happening? 3 players together, they are scoring a goal at this point. So what is happening? There comes a fourth player at the same position as that of 1, and he alone scores a goal in the same direction and at the same place as that of 1, 2 and 3. So what is 4 doing? 4 is doing the same work. 4 is producing the same effect that is produced by player 1, player 2 and player 3. So 4 alone is doing that work. Player 4 is alone scoring a goal at the exact same position, at the exact same length. So direction is also same of the final position and the length of the final position is also same. Therefore, whatever work is done by player 1, 2 and 3, the same work is done by single force or single person, player 4. So what is 4? 4 is resultant of 1, 2 and 3. 4 is resultant of 1, 2 and 3. Why? Because 4 is producing the same effect as that of 1, 2 and 3 together. 1, 2 and 3 together, they are scoring a goal and 4 alone is scoring a goal. Therefore, 4 is resultant of 1, 2 and 3. So now we'll see the definition of resultant. It is a single force which produces the same effect as that of system of forces. It is a single force which produces the same effect as that of system of forces. Okay, so what is 4 doing? 4 is producing the same effect as that of players 1, 2 and 3. Players 1, 2 and 3 are scoring a goal and player 4 is also scoring a goal single-handedly. Therefore, player 4 is resultant of 1, 2 and 3. Then we'll see what is equilibrium. What is equilibrium? So equilibrium is if many forces are acting on the body and the body is not moving, the body is at rest, then we say that all the forces acting on the body are at rest. Suppose this is a body. One force is applied in this direction, another force is applied in this direction, and this force is applied in third direction. F1, F2 and F3 are 3 forces. These 3 forces are acting at the same time and the body is not moving. This body is at rest. Then what I can say? I can say that F1, F2 and F3 are in equilibrium. Why? Because body on which they act remains at rest. The body on which forces F1, F2 and F3 are acting is at rest. Therefore, what is the equilibrium? 2 or more forces are said to be in equilibrium if the body on which they are acting remains at rest. The body remains at rest. Then I say all the forces acting on the body are in equilibrium. Okay, then we'll see there are few laws of vector addition we say. So to start with, we have the law of parallelogram of forces. The law of parallelogram of forces. So first we'll see what is a parallelogram. Parallelogram is a square, parallelogram is a rectangle in which two opposite sides are equal and none of the angles is 90 degrees. Here if you see, this angle is not 90 degree, this is not 90 degree, this is also not 90 degree, this is also not 90 degree. But opposite sides are equal. Opposite sides are equal. This is opposite of this side, this is opposite side of this. So I'll say this is A, B, C, D. So BC is opposite side of AD, AB is opposite side of CD. Therefore, the length of AB is equal to length of CD, the length of BC is equal to length of AD. This is what is a parallelogram. And the distance B to D, is called as diagonal of the parallelogram. BD is diagonal of the parallelogram. Then I'll say what is this law of parallelograms. Suppose I have one point and two forces are acting on this. Suppose force P is acting on this point and Q is also acting on this point. So what happens if I take P and Q by two adjacent sides of a parallelogram? If I take forces acting at a point by two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, then the diagonal through that point represents resultant of P and Q. The diagonal represents resultant. So suppose the resultant is this. So this is nothing but our diagonal in this case. So I'll explain it once again. If two forces, here it is given, two forces P and Q are acting at point O. They are acting at point O. Forces P and Q are acting at point O. And they are taken by two adjacent sides of a parallelogram. OA and OB are adjacent sides of a parallelogram. If you see OA and OB, they are adjacent sides of a parallelogram. They are acting at point P. Along OA we have taken force P, along OB we have taken force Q. Then the diagonal represents resultant R of these two forces. The diagonal represents resultant R of these two forces. So the statement of law of parallelogram of forces is, if two forces acting at a point are represented by the two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, then the diagonal through that point will represent the resultant both in magnitude and direction. If two forces acting at a point are represented by two adjacent sides of a triangle. So P and Q are acting at one point, and for example, for time being we have taken them along two adjacent sides of a parallelogram. Then OC represents resultant of P and Q, where R is resultant of P and Q. Therefore diagonal through that point will represent resultant of P and Q both in magnitude as well as direction. This is law of parallelogram of forces. Then the law of triangle of forces. So what is the statement of law of triangle of forces? If three forces acting at a point are represented by three sides of a triangle taken in order, then the forces are in equilibrium. If three forces acting at a point are represented by three sides of a triangle taken in order, then the forces are in equilibrium. Suppose three forces, you can see here, P, Q and R are acting at this point. P, Q and R are acting at a point. If I take these three forces P, Q and R along three sides of a triangle, and those sides are always in order. If I am taking P in this direction, Q has to start from here, reach here, and R has to start from here and reach here. P, Q and R. And if these three sides, these three forces, if they form a triangle, then I can say these forces acting P, Q and R are in equilibrium. These three forces are in equilibrium. How it is? If I can represent three sides of a triangle P, Q, R, if I can represent three forces acting at point by three sides of a triangle P, Q and R taken in order, then I can say P, Q and R are in equilibrium. They are in equilibrium. It is given here. P, Q and R are acting here, and they are represented by three sides of a triangle in this diagram. If this is true, then the three forces are in equilibrium. Then we have converse of law of triangle of forces. The converse of law of triangle. So what does this mean? So we have to go in reverse order. Initially what was given? The three forces were acting, and we considered, finally we came to the conclusion that they are in equilibrium. Now here we will consider three forces to be in equilibrium. So how does the statement goes? If three forces acting at a point are in equilibrium, then they can be represented by three sides of a triangle taken in order. Then they can be represented by three sides of a triangle taken in order. So if three forces are acting at a point, and I say these three forces are in equilibrium. If I say these three forces are in equilibrium, then I can draw a triangle using P, Q and R. I can draw a triangle using P, Q and R. I can draw triangle. So we cannot draw triangle by taking any three random sides. Okay. So this is the condition which you should remember, that we cannot form a triangle by random three sides. If I say one of the sides of a triangle is 10 meters, this one is 2 meters, and this one is 3 meters. Can I form a triangle? No, we cannot form. So if we want to form a triangle, there has to be certain relation between sides of a triangle. Therefore, if the forces are in equilibrium, then only a triangle can be formed. So the converse of law of triangle is true. Now we see what is Lami's theorem. What is Lami's theorem? So this Lami's theorem is very useful in many concepts of engineering as well as science. The statement will see, if three forces acting at a point are in equilibrium, then each force is proportional to the sine of angle between the other two forces. What it says, if three forces acting at a point are in equilibrium, say forces P, Q and R, forces P, Q and R, they are in equilibrium. They are acting at this point and the forces are in equilibrium. Okay. So what happens? Each force is proportional to the sine of the angle between other two forces. So we'll see the alpha is the angle between Q and R, beta is angle between P and R, and gamma is angle between P and Q. Therefore, angle opposite to P is alpha, angle opposite to Q is beta, and angle opposite to R is gamma. Therefore, by Lami's theorem, what happens? P is proportional to sine of the angle between Q and R. And what is the angle between Q and R? That is alpha. So P is proportional to sine alpha. Q is proportional to sine of the angle between P and R. What is the angle between P and R? Beta. So Q is proportional to sine beta. R is proportional to sine gamma. So in all three cases, I'll remove the proportionality sign and add the constant K. So P is equal to K sine alpha. Q is equal to K sine beta, R is equal to K sine gamma. So these are the equations. Then if I take sine alpha to the other side, this becomes P by sine alpha is equal to K, Q by sine beta is equal to K, and R by sine gamma is equal to K. So where all the K's are same, the constant of proportionality. So I can equate these all equations as P by sine alpha is equal to Q by sine beta is equal to R by sine gamma is equal to a constant. So this is our Lami's theorem, wherein P is directly proportional to sine of angle between other two forces. P is proportional to sine alpha, Q is proportional to sine beta, R is proportional to sine gamma. So these are the various laws of vector addition. So there are few more topics in this unit which I'll be covering in next unit. Thank you.